Hello, my name is Father Tighe, and this is our 16th segment of our journey of faith in the light of the cross. And we arrive at chapter 4 in John's Gospel, the Samaritan woman. And we see our theme here on the first slide. The Samaritan woman receives the gift of eternal waters rejected by Nicodemus. So this contrasts with Nicodemus in chapter 3. We go to our next slide, and we see we're in John 4, verse 5. Jesus came to a town in Samaria called Sychar near the plot that Jacob had given to Joseph. Again, we're to Jacob, who had the 12 sons. Jacob's well was there. This is very important to our story. Tired from the journey, Jesus sat down at the well, and it was about noon. Noon is important because Jews going from Galilee to Jerusalem timed their journey to arrive at noontime to avoid interacting with Samaritans, because nobody's around the well at noontime. A Samaritan woman came to draw water. A Samaritan woman would only be there if she was a sinner excluded from the community. Jesus said, "Give me a drink." His disciples had gone to buy food. Now we go to the next slide, and we see the Samaritan woman assumes that Jesus is flirting because he knows that she's a sinner if she comes to the well at noontime. How can you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink? Wouldn't I poison you if you drank from my cup? Jesus said, if you knew the gift of God and who was asking you, give me a drink, you had to have asked him, and he would have given you living water. Now, this is interesting. The Samaritan woman, she may be a sinner, but she knows her Bible. And she picks up the two code words that Jesus gives her, the word gift and living water. So we go to our next slide, and we see that she picks these two words up. She said, "Sir, you do not have a bucket, and this cistern is deep. Where are you going to get living water? This is still water down in this well here. Furthermore, gift. Are you greater than our father Jacob? Jacob was gifted by God with the gift of power to give life. He gave birth to 12 sons and fathered the 12 tribes of Israel. He gave us the cistern and drank from it with his children and his flocks." Jacob went to the well to get water, but he saw his future wife, Rachel. And as soon as he saw Rachel, he knew this was his partner for life. She was the light of his life. And he was filled up with the fountain of life that welled up inside him. And he goes to the well, and he takes the rock that was there. The women were waiting for somebody to take the rock off the well to feed their sheep, to water their sheep. And he throws the rock away. He's full of himself. And he burst out in tears because the fountain that welled up inside his stomach, went into his chest. It quenched the thirst, what he was thirsting for. He was thirsting for the woman who was the light of his life. And he overflows in tears. This is the fullness of life. In ancient times, all ancient people talked about the fountain of life in us. And when the fountain of life was perfect and would overflow with tears, life was full. It cleansed us. It warmed us. It made us feel refreshed and feeling good. Now, we go on to the next slide. And Jesus said, everyone who drinks this water will thirst again. So Jesus says, I didn't come here to give you this water, because no matter how much water you drink, it's not going to satiate what you're thirsting for in life. The only thing that satiates your thirst for life is the same as Jacob. That well that comes up out of the pit of your stomach into your chest, goes to your throat at a beautiful life-giving moment in your life, and overflows in tears and refreshes and renews you. And he's talking to the Samaritan woman. The Samaritan woman, as a sinner, has pushed down the power of life in her. She is isolated and alone. And she comes to the well, the walking dead. Now, what do we mean by that? When we go through life, we're longing to be life givers and satiate the thirst inside us. Sometimes we well up inside when things go wrong, and things had gone wrong for the Samaritan woman. There's a sourness and bitterness that wells up in our chest, and we know if it goes into our throat, it's not going to satiate what we're thirsting for. No, it's going to make us choke. And if we don't stop it and push it down, and we gag, it wells up into our head, and it turns toxic, and we have cold tears of rage coming out of us, and we get very angry, and we make things worse. In order not to make things worse, we push it down, and the Samaritan woman had pushed down her feelings because she had so many bad moments in her life. And Jesus comes now and he says to her, do you want to well up inside and have the fullness of life so you can deal with those moments? And she says, yes. But what is Jesus saying? He's saying, when you allow me to fill you with my fountain of life and love, when you well up inside and something goes into your chest and it gets sour and bitter and it's going to go into your throat and it's going to make you choke and gag and go into a rage, if you stop and you crucify those feelings that are in your chest and you give them to God and you let God hold you together, and he will, and you let yourself breathe the Holy Spirit so you don't choke and gag, and you look at Jesus on the cross and you say, I can deal with this pain, and you deal with the pain, then you are together. And those terrible moments in our lives when we tend to push down our feelings so we don't go into a rage and anger and make things worse, we can deal with the pain and we can stay close to somebody. Now, why is this so important? When you are near somebody who's sick and the pain, you love them so much that the pain is making you feel so out of control that you have to push down the feelings inside you, what you actually do is disconnect. And when you disconnect, there's no emotional presence there. And this happens with parents, with children, with leukemia, and with somebody you love who has cancer. And Jesus says, no, if you hold their hand, you don't get glassy-eyed and you don't disappear on them and disconnect. You stay with them through the pain and the suffering and even through death. And when you do, you feel God's presence more powerfully than any moment in your life. And that well inside you is satisfied and fulfilled as it was on Jesus at the cross. And we come to the end of our teaching here, and so the woman says, sir, give me this water so that I may not be thirsty and have to keep coming back here to draw the water. And this brings us to a beautiful hymn that we have now. I don't know where this hymn came from. I never knew it before. But it's a beautiful hymn. Sing it with me. It's very easy to pick up. Like the woman at the well, I was seeking for things that cannot satisfy. Nothing can satisfy us except what God alone can give. He died on the cross to give us that fountain of life when we feel empty. We have no more to give. Oh, sing this beautiful hymn. Fill my cup, O Lord. I lift it up, O Lord. Come and quench this thirsting of my soul. That's the only thing that fulfills our life. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Fill my cup, fill it up, and make. Thank you very much for making this journey of faith with us. I hope you continue to the next segment. Thank you very much.